Oh, hello. Welcome to Bloodhaus, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm your host, Joshua Conkel.
And I'm a body-swapping witch from ages past, Drusilla Adeline. Welcome to another week of Bloodhaus, Josh.
You sure are a body-swapping witch, if ever there were one. It is you. I wish it were me, bodies. But it's not. I know. I mean, that's a whole conversation we could have, and I never even crossed my mind. How are you?
I'm okay. I've been really run down this week, so I've been popping emergency pills like once a day. Yeah, I feel sick as a dog, but I'm like determined to like make it through this week because there's a lot of fun things happening this week, and a lot to be excited about. But I'm like, my body is tired in so many ways. How are you doing?
Similar. I have a reading of the first new play I've written in almost 10 years on Saturday. But I started writing it on Monday, basically, because I threw the old play out. I was traveling. I actually went to my childhood best friend's wedding in Cleveland, Ohio. It was a gay satanic wedding. And it was really fun. But I didn't have time to write. And so when I got back on Sunday, I was like, shit, none of the stuff that I wrote for this play really works. And I feel like I need to start over. So I did. I'm writing a full-length play in a week. That's all I'm doing all day long is writing. It is crazy. Usually it would take me about 90 days to write a first draft of a new script. So I might be setting myself up for a huge embarrassment. But it is relative. It is related to this podcast. There's a lot of podcasts in the play. It is about horror. It is about Hollywood. It is about the 1973 film Messiah of Evil. I use whole scenes from that movie within the play. Also,
which helps the writing process. It makes it go a lot faster.
Actually, it does make it go faster. I also took the whole script for Nicole Kidman's AMC ad and put it in the play. It's like an insane play. So I'm hoping it all comes together by Saturday. If it doesn't, there will be a complete draft. It might be horrible and I might be really embarrassed, but it's happening. And
if anyone can do it, it's you.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, some of the best things are cranked out in the shortest amount of time imaginable. The original poster for The Thing was designed, concepted, and painted in 24 hours. The original screenplay for Do the Right Thing was written in like 10 days or something like that. Like, you can do this.
Rocky was written in a weekend, I've heard.
Balboa or Picture Show?
Balboa, the Sylvester Stallone movie. A movie I've never seen, but I heard that it was written in a weekend.
A movie I've also never seen. Anyway, welcome to Boxing Cast, where we talk about boxing movies.
Is there a movie
that's in Philadelphia?
Is there a movie that's less us than Rocky? I hear it's a very good movie, actually. I mean, it won.
I love Talia Shire.
Yeah.
So
same.
Maybe one of these days we'll do an episode on Rocky just to like keep y'all on your toes.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you? What's going on? Besides being sick.
Besides being like on the verge of sick, but not sick. We'll see. A few exciting things have happened. First of all, by the time of this recording, this is already out, but it is coming out in my world in the past. Recording this, my first book is out. The first book that I did artwork for is out in the world.
Yay!
It is called The Book of Elsewhere. It is written by this unknown man named Keanu Reeves.
Oh my god!
And one of the most important science fiction authors of all time, China Mielville. And I am like so beyond honored and stoked that my first book design ever was for this. I also got to do little hand illustrations that kind of run throughout the book, accompanying kind of like the chapter markers and stuff like that.
That's
very,
so
very,
cool.
very excited about it. I've been seeing advanced copies pop up online, and I am very, very, very hype. I think Keanu was just on like Colbert to promote it too, and he was just like all over it, like oogling it, ogling it, couldn't stop like touching it. So I'm very excited to get my copy.
So fucking cool. Is it a graphic novel?
So it's based on and is in the world of his graphic novel series Berserker,
Right.
Which is kind of about like an immortal assassin, more or less, in a very like sci-fi universe. And then he literally was like, I want to like open this up to other artists to like play around in the sandbox. And he was like, well, my favorite author is China Mieville, so it would be crazy if we could get him to write a book.
Yeah.
And he agreed, and it's I read the first 100 pages back when I worked on it, and it's really fucking amazing. It like hops all over. It's really, really fast. It reminds me of one of my favorite books of all time, which is William S. Burroughs's Cities of the Red Knight, which is kind of this like crazy tapestry of time and space, and like such a beautiful, beautiful way. I'm really excited to get my hands on it and read it in full.
That's so exciting. Yeah, I listened to this book podcast called Book Riot, which is like one of the biggest book podcasts there is. And they were doing their like most anticipated titles of 2024. And that was on there. And I completely forgot that you worked on it. So that's so exciting.
I'm beyond stoked. I would love to do more book covers. So people who work at publishing houses that listen to scary movie podcasts.
Yeah, get on it.
I do book covers now.
Yeah.
But also, I attended what has been called the queer goth ball of the year. Truly, like, what, in like old movies when they're like, it's the social event of the season. It really felt like that for LA queers and goths this past week. The Academy Museum hosted a live podcast recording of our sister podcast, friend of the podcast friend, Midnight Mass with Peaches Christ and Michael Verratti, a podcast that our podcast would not exist without in a lot of ways. And they were doing a live recording with Cassandra Peterson before a 35mm screening of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
I was so upset that I wasn't there. I was at that satanic wedding in Cleveland.
Yeah, apples and oranges. That's very much one of the... I'm sure a satanic wedding happened at that screening.
Yeah, probably did. Everyone I know was there. Literally every single person I know in Los Angeles was there.
Yeah. It was a who's who of queers, goths, and like misfits, and like industry people too. It was absolutely insane. Everywhere that I turned in that theater and in that lobby, I was like, oh hey, oh hey, oh hey. I recognized so many, like Minkstol was there.
Yeah.
Minkstol, who doesn't live in LA, flew in for that. So many lovely friends were there as well, which was great to see and bump into, and like people recognized me from this, which is crazy too. It was a really, really, really lovely evening. And the conversation with Peaches and Michael and Elvira herself before the screening was incredible. Cassandra's so funny and so incredible. She mentioned something about the movie that I never knew, which was that it only had about a week in theaters.
Yes, it has a weird tie. I'm trying to remember
depressing.
It. There's actually a weird tie to the Menendez brothers murders.
What? I don't know about that.
I wish I could remember from like my murder podcast days, like my favorite murder or whatever. But the distributor was owned by their father, who was murdered or something like that. But it happened at that time, so that was a part of that. So,
oh my god,
yeah, it's such a special movie to me. When I first started dating Joel, it was the first movie I made him watch to be like, this is who I am. It's my dad's favorite movie for different reasons that I love the movie.
Well, of course.
He loved Elvira and I loved her. One of the things that we had in common, but from different angles. So it's just like such a special movie to me. I got to see her last ever performance at Not Scary Farm, where she performed every Halloween for like 30 years. And she did the final number of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. With
the tassels.
Hunky dancers and the tassels. It was so magical. Yeah.
Which apparently she had like a flu and like 103-degree fever while filming that scene.
Really?
According to the story that she told on Midnight Mass and at the screening, that they had run over budget and they were out of funds before they had shot the ending. And it was being financed by NBC. So literally the guy that greenlit Seinfeld was the one who was funding all of this. And she had to go to him and beg and plead for finishing funds to shoot that final scene. And so they had one day, they had everything set up and set for that one day. And she woke up with 103-degree fever and was like, well, guess I'm doing this.
That's show business, baby.
If there's anything that movie is about, it's that showbiz, baby. It's such a wholesome, incredible movie. And it was just written, as all of her stuff is, with Pee-wee's John Paragon. And it's such a shame that like they had to cut a bunch out before they even started filming it so that it could be PG, so that more people could see it. And then New World Pictures went bankrupt the week it was released, so it got pulled from theaters anyway.
Yeah,
it's such a shame, but obviously it's had a massive life since then on home video and now on streaming, and it is like truly a massive cult classic. And I'm honestly ashamed at how late it took me to see. I didn't see it until like my early 20s.
Yeah,
I wish I'd grown up on it.
I grew up on it. To me, I don't think I've ever been to a picnic without thinking of that like scene where the whole town eats the stuff and gets horny and starts like molesting each other at the picnic,
licking mustard off their ears.
Yeah.
It's
love it.
Such a hoot. It also, like, because of that, getting to see it on 35mm was so incredible. And the print they showed was one that is like now owned and held by the Academy Museum because it was donated to them by Cassandra Peterson.
It belongs there. Put that in the Louvre. That's what I have to say about Elvira Mistress of the Dark.
True, Louis. I mean, you and Edie are just her and Gonk. Let's be honest.
Yeah, 100%. Gonk is like one of my favorite movie dogs of all time.
Oh my God. It was such a delight. I loved it so much.
When I saw that with Joel for the first time, I think it was Joel, he was like, this doesn't make any sense because she wouldn't like that house, like how colorful it's painted. And I was like, no, that's not true. You don't understand like the true spirit of a goth. Like that's next level goth if you can appreciate a candy colored house. Like, do you know what I mean? That's leveling up.
Exactly. Well, like, it's just because she's like goth and punk and metal on the outside doesn't mean that she also doesn't love and appreciate this. Well, and also the fact that she, like, my favorite thing about Elvira as a character is that even though she's like big booby bombshell girl, she's still like an ADHD maniac with like a trucker spirit, which like is so insanely relatable to me. She's like the blueprint for like Harley Quinn and all of those kinds of characters that have since followed. Totally. And she's a fucking comedian, like first and foremost. She's one of the funniest people in the world. I love her so much. She was complaining about RuPaul marketing lines from that movie and selling them on t-shirts.
Oh, like how's your head? Haven't had any complaints. RuPaul makes that joke every episode of that show, basically.
Yeah, and he's now
young gays probably don't know where it's from.
He's selling T-shirts of it, and she was like, "I need to just make sachet away T-shirts and sell them on my website, just out of spite." Yeah. Love her.
Love her. Businesswoman first.
Cup for that piece of shit. Have you watched anything of note, Josh?
No, I've had no time to do any such thing. But I did kind of want to talk about Longlegs again, because we did talk about it last week. But since then, I've had a bit of a journey with it. And there's an angle that we're uniquely suited to talk about, basically. So we texted a little bit about this. But after I saw the movie and kind of digested it and reviewed it, I started to see all of these criticisms of the movie that said it was transphobic. And I was a bit surprised because it just didn't occur to me during the movie or afterwards that could be the case, or that the character of Longlegs was in any way resembled trans people. And at first I was like, I even tweeted this and kind of got myself into trouble where I was like, if you think Longlegs is transphobic, you're telling on yourself, because obviously that's what you think trans people look like. Like it didn't occur to me.
Yeah.
And then a couple of trans people started talking to me about it, and they felt that it was transphobic in a way that we talk a lot about, how like they didn't think that it was intentionally transphobic or maliciously intended, but they did think about it, and they did think that it was accidentally transphobic. And so now I'm not sure anymore, you know?
I mean, to me, that's entirely subjective.
Yeah.
In the same way that, like, I remember when Teton came out, I know there was some trans and lesbian authors that were calling that movie transphobic as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think Longlegs is transphobic for an Insha film, and I don't think that Longlegs, both intentionally and unintentionally, and I personally don't think that Longlegs suffers from the like non-textual visual transphobia that something like Silence of the Lambs has.
Mm-hmm.
Silence of the
Mm-hmm.
Lambs absolutely has that issue that you're kind of referring to, where like contextually they like say in the text of the film, in the dialogue of the film, that Buffalo Bill is not a trans individual. However, still present Buffalo Bill as like the like visual signifier of man in a dress
Yeah.
trope. And in that way, it does have transphobic visuals while not having a transphobic narrative, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think Longlegs is in no way, shape, or form similar to that at all. I think that the character of Longlegs, the design of Nicolas Cage's character and performance, and of course, if you have not seen the movie yet and you don't want to hear discussions of that, feel free to skip this and let that be a surprise to you when you see it in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the movie twice now. I could not be further from that reading. To me, he looks significantly more like two things. One, a dude obsessed with 70s glam rock,
Which was in fact the reference,
which is
according
in
to
fact
the filmmaker.
Because the movie opens with a Mark Bolan quote. There's T-Rex songs throughout. His little basement where he lives has like a flying V guitar and like images of Lou Reed and Mark Bolan all over the walls. And it ends with Bang Gong Get It On. Like, it is like very intentionally, like, that is his backstory, that he is more or less, like, it's never stated explicitly, but it's heavily implied that this man's path to Satanism was through 70s glam rock and roll, and that he plays music and is into music and like wants to have himself presented in that way. Now, of course, 70s glam rock was obsessed with
androgyny
in the way that David Bowie kind of did. But I think making that far of an assumptive leap is dangerous when it's not in the text or in the visuals. And then the other thing about Longlegs' character design that's also very intentional, and to me reads immediately off the page, is that he looks like every photo or illustration of like a neighborhood pedophile or sex offender that your parents would show you to stay away from. Like, he's wearing like a white puffer vest and like big glasses, like he's moves kind of odd, like he's intended to look like the guy that rolls down the window in a van and says, "Hey little girl, do you want some candy?" Like, and so again, it feels like the reading of seeing that character in that way seems like it's coming with a lot of personal baggage.
Well, that's the thing, right? So my journey with this was that, like, I thought the people making that criticism, I assumed they were cisgender, right? And I was like, you're telling on yourself, because obviously that's how you view trans people. I didn't consider that even for a moment during the movie or afterwards. But then these trans people who were very kind actually started talking to me about it. And then I felt incredibly sad because I was like, is that how you see yourself?
See, that sounds like, yeah.
Or is that how you your anxiety tells you that people see you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just made me so sad. And so I've just been on this whole journey with the movie. And I don't mean to make you speak for all trans people. You certainly don't.
I certainly don't. But I do speak for trans people that reckon that myself, who have to reckon with I love a lot of horror movies that unfortunately deal with this trope. It's obviously a movie directed by Osgood Perkins, whose father is Anthony Perkins, whose main claim to fame is Norman Bates in Psycho, which is a role in a film and a franchise that deals with this question and this conflict that I know a lot of people have and a lot of people grapple with, and I know a lot of people don't. And I know some people take serious umbrage with Silence of the Lambs. Some people don't. Some people take serious umbrage with Dressed to Kill. I do not. Some people deeply love Sleepaway Camp. Other people find it really painful and offensive and exploitative. I do not. I think Longlegs is further away from the spectrum than most films of that kind. I think, if you're going to call that character a representation of a trans individual, then you might as well call the character in Manhunter the same thing. And I, again, think that's a major issue and a major problem. There is, of course, the question of while making a horror movie, while making a thriller, you want to take choices in the creation visually of a monster, whether it be human or otherwise, and how to signify to the audience that they are a monster. And the tools that we use visually to signify that can be upsetting. Again, we've talked about this a lot with Michael Winner movie The Sentinel, and the way that they were just let's hire disabled people to represent the denizens of hell. That'll just automatically get a rise out of the audience. Or the Norman Bates thing of yes, we're leaning at Ed Gein, but also the way to signify that something is off with this character and subtly shocking is let's put Anthony Perkins in a dress and a wig. What a transformation. So shocking.
Right.
I don't see any of that in Longlegs. And I don't feel that way, but I do think there is a much larger conversation to be had about the way in which society tells trans people that they look and behave and act, and the way that trans people feel that they are seen and represented in media.
Yeah.
And that's entirely personal journeys from the side of the viewer, but then also it is very incumbent on audiences to think these things through while watching them, and the creators of these things to think these things through in the creation of them. Yeah. Again, I don't think Longlegs has this issue in any way, shape, or form, but I understand why some people would, but I also would then encourage them to think about why they feel that way.
It just made me so sad when I had the, when I heard it from trans people. And I also think, everyone's opinions matter in my mind. I don't think that trans people have to be the expert on this and that they're the only opinions that matter. Although I am an effeminate man and I do not consider myself cisgender, and that's a whole other conversation. But it just never even occurred to me that the character of Longlegs was even androgynous. I just thought of him as a weird, creepy, wanted poster ass looking guy, But I just got so sad.
If you were to show people a photo of Longlegs and ask and be like, who does he look like? You say, who does Longlegs, non-gender it, who does Longlegs look like? I feel like 9 out of 10 people are going to say Tiny Tim.
If they know him. I was thinking he kind of gave Michael Jackson, to be honest. I was like, this is if I saw a poster, a wanted poster, I'd be like, oh, this is a neighborhood pedophile, the classic neighborhood pedophile. But that's problematic too, because of how much pedophiles are associated by conservatives and Christian evangelicals
with the queer and trans community, horrible and awful and evil. Yeah, exactly. That's why it also reminds me of how when the Black Phone came out, the Ethan Hawke movie, how there were certain queer critics who were calling that movie homophobic because it was a queer villain, and it's he's a pedophile. It's
Yeah.
actually
Again,
dangerous.
you're telling on yourself. You're telling on yourself. So BJ Colangelo, who's been on our show, wrote a really wonderful piece in defense of the Black Phone when it came out and people were criticizing it in that way. I'll put that in the show notes. I tweeted that too. It was like, I would extrapolate this to Longlegs, you know?
Yeah.
But I do want to hold space for, I rejected the idea that this movie is transphobic so strongly at first. And I still feel that it's not, but I kind of wanted to hold space for the conversation because I do get it after hearing people's criticisms. You know, I don't know.
I don't
think that people are stupid for thinking that.
Yeah. I also think that, people are on edge with, especially trans people. Trans people have a rough history with horror movies because of this exact thing. And so even like shades of it can like get people's hackles up. And I fully understand that. Totally. Especially in a movie that is operating within the like genre dressing of a like serial killer procedural. Again, the touchstone that it like pull quotes and press and even the director keeps comparing it to is Silence of the Lambs, which is like not the last time this has been done in a movie. In fact, it's been done a lot more recently than you would like to think. Insidious Part 2, the second X-Files movie. But like that is like the big cultural one. I think
it's really hard not to think of Silence of the Lambs when you watch Longlegs in a number of ways.
I feel like that in the first go around, having seen it now twice, my second screening, I thought significantly more of Twin Peaks: The Return.
Interesting.
I've also seen people that just don't dig the movie, period, and like that's also fine. You don't have to. It made $40 million at the box office. He's gonna make another one. That's my friend in Cleveland,
my friend in Cleveland, whose wedding I was at, said like a really astute thing about it that I like the movie, but this is a little bit shady. He said, Blumhouse script, A24 direction and production design. And I was like, I can't really argue with that.
I don't know about Blumhouse script, but I will say A24 production design and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, Osgood Perkins' first movie, The Black Coat's Daughter, was released by A24. So
yeah, maybe that sums up Neon's whole thing in general.
Is like the middle ground between the two.
Yeah. Anyway, let's just talk about this movie. This is a movie I picked. I saw it in 2022 when it came out in the theater at Alamo Drafthouse in downtown Los Angeles. My friend took me and another friend to see it. I knew nothing about it walking in, and I really liked it. And rewatching it this time, I actually liked it even more. We are discussing today from 2022, written and directed by Goran Stolevsky, You Won't Be Alone. So you had never seen this before, but I think you liked it, right?
I did like it. I was very surprised by it because all I knew about it was the key art, which is very kind of dingy, very kind of like dark and gritty and very like the key art feels like it's going to promise a body horror movie that is going to be like rough and one of the most fucked up things you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then I was looking into the director and I was like, oh, it's Goran Stolevsky who did like Of an Age and like Guide to Housekeeping. Like, oh, okay. So he's like a tender queer art house filmmaker. not tender queer, but a tender,
Tender,
queer art house filmmaker. And so I was like, oh, I'm very interesting to see how this turns out. And it like, I think Numi Rapace is the biggest name who's in it. She's barely in the movie, but she's wonderful. I found this movie really fascinating, especially because stylistically, thematically, and narratively, it is doing things that are comparable almost exclusively to movies I hate.
Interesting.
And yet I like this movie quite a bit. Like there's a lot of under the skin in there. There's a lot of Terrence Malick in there.
You don't like Terrence Malick?
I strongly dislike Terrence Malick.
Whoa, even Badlands?
I like Badlands.
Okay.
And I need to revisit Days of Heaven, but I didn't enjoy Days of Heaven. But that was like 15 years ago. But I strongly dislike fucking Tree of Life and like Thin Red Line and like.
I've only seen Days of Heaven and Badlands, so that's all I know of Terrence Malick.
He changed.
Yeah, I understand.
He went in a direction. I also I don't dig the New World. It's a lot of his contemporary stuff is like shaky cam out in nature while an actor walks around goggle-eyed, and then a very kind of hushed monologue voiceover is like, wow, Papa came down from the heavens and said, yeah. And you're like, got it. This is 3 hours of this.
I will say this movie, first of all, is very short, mercifully. I don't think I could have taken another half hour of this. But second of all, it's very simple and it has a very clear story that's easy to follow. And I think that helps it a lot.
Yeah. And it also is very kind of novelistic in the story. Novel. Yeah. And it gets at some very, very interesting ideas and concepts that I find very thoughtful, very touching. In a way that a lot of those movies don't. And honestly, like, this movie is put up by Focus Features, who I love and who put out the rest of Selewski's movies as of yet. Of an Age was the same year as this one, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like if this hadn't been marketed as like gritty kind of red box horror movie, like the key art is giving Shudder in a way that I don't love. Had this movie had a more of a like open scopy, like almost Terrence Malick kind of key art, it would have sold the movie better, and I feel like it would have had a bigger audience. I had barely heard of this movie when you brought it up.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it when I walked into the theater to see it. I just went with a friend. And for the record, we love Shudder. We know that people from Shudder listen to this show. We love you. That wasn't a slam.
I also love Shudder, and I also create artwork for Shudder.
Yeah.
So that's not a slam at all.
I mean, one of the first things that you could say about this movie is that a lot of people would say this isn't a horror movie, which I would buy. I think for the purposes of our podcast, it's a question that doesn't really matter because we end up discussing a lot of things that arguably are not horror movies, because the spectrum of like art house to horror is, you could fall anywhere on that spectrum. This one definitely is on the art house end.
I would still say it's a horror movie though.
I would too. Yeah. It's a folk horror. It's like The Witch. So.
Yeah. This would make an incredible B picture to The Witch.
If you have the patience.
Yeah.
Those are two slow movies.
Are very, very patient or are very, very high.
Yeah. This is a very quiet, pretty slow movie. So it's not for everyone's taste. It definitely is for mine. I famously love a slow movie. And especially one like this where, like I said, the story is actually quite simple and clear and emotional. I find the ending of this pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like this movie. I guess I'll say a little bit about what it is about. It is a period piece. It's set in 19th century Macedonia, a country I know basically nothing about. But it's about a young woman whose name is Navina. She's raised in a cave by her mother, who, when she was born, made a deal with a witch that the witch could have Navina when she turned 16. So in order to avoid that happening, her mom sticks her in a cave. So she grows up like Nell, not really knowing how to communicate, not seeing the world. Oh, also the witch made cut her tongue when she was a baby, so she's mute. So lo and behold, just like a dark fairy tale, the witch shows up on her 16th birthday and takes her away. And in this mythology, the witches are shapeshifters. They can turn into an animal or a person by killing them. And there's like a really cool body horror sort of thing where they pull out the entrails of that person or animal and shove them into their own breast. And then they become them and can live as that person. So this older witch has taken Navina under her wing. The older witch is a burn victim whose name is Old Maid Maria, or the Wolf Eateress, who seems to be famous in this region from some old wives' tale. But we don't get what that story is until near the end of the movie. And Old Maid Maria becomes very frustrated quickly with Navina, who has like no coping skills basically at all, and abandons her. So we're following Navina as she goes from life to life in these small rural Macedonian farming communities in the 1800s. And she kind of learns about love and loss in life. And that's it. She reconnects with Old Maid Maria at the end of the movie, and they have a little talk. And I don't know, that's kind of it, right?
Old Maid Marie kind of like haunts her throughout the movie. Kind of like
judging her.
Kind of being that like trauma voice on her shoulder, being like, they're going to find you out. And also like doing things around her to make her ability to blend into these different communities harder. We'll say.
And I mentioned it, but Old Maid Maria is a burn victim. She's burned head to toe. So we know something traumatic happened to her in the past. She is the subject of all of these sort of wives' tales in the countryside. So she's famous as like a monster. I'm really moved by this movie, I have to say, and particularly the ending I find really beautiful and heartbreaking. I find the writing really beautiful and heartbreaking. The acting is so good. I really love this movie. When I saw it in the theater, I liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars, but watching it again, I actually really sank into it and I loved it.
It's really, really powerful. And it's the kind of movie that, like, I believe it's Stilevsky's debut film.
First feature, yeah. Premiered at Sundance in 2022. Just
outrageously impressive.
He did make like 10 short films, so he did have some practice.
He's made a lot of stuff. But this is his first feature. And then, of course, he made another feature the same year, and then one more the next year. And, like, he's prolific already. But this movie really does feel like, especially for like from a script level, feels like it's based on a book. It feels like a very, very like old book too, of like journeying through life and using the supernatural and using folklore as a metaphor for human existence, and the like wide width and breadth of it. I like have such a fascination and like distance from like quote unquote wild child stories, because there's been a lot of like notable cases throughout history. A lot of them have been turned into movies. Nell, of course, is one. The Francois Truffaut movie, The Wild Child. The idea of like being raised by wolves, being raised in the wilderness, like Tarzan is technically one of those.
Jungle Book,
yeah. This idea of like experiencing life differently and like separate from quote unquote human civilization, and then like having more cognition to discovering yourself and your body and your identity over time, and her ability to do this while like living in other people's skin kind of as a mask is really, really touching and heartbreaking and beautiful. And even before she does that, the way that she talks about herself as being more than oneself is really touching and relatable. I don't know. I found this movie really, really, really beautiful. And like, again, it's a lot of handheld camera. It's a lot of moving, shaking camera. It's a lot of very abrupt, kind of French new wave editing. And a lot of that can turn me off in a lot of movies. A lot of like mumbling narration, which can also turn me off in a lot of movies. a lot of very simplistic dialogue, but like it really, really, really worked for me. It's got, you know, part of the emotional quality that made Poor Things hit for me so hard, of like this kind of mature look at immaturity and growth and adolescence, of having a very wide-eyed view of the world and being able to take it in with like joy and majesty, and like even the horror aspect of growth and the world, and the way that she finds so much comfort and joy with other people is so enlightening. And the way that she talks about like men expect you to be water and women expect you to be a mirror, and like it's really
just
beautiful.
Like the narration about like being in a room with just women versus being in a room with men. And this is when she's, you know, the first life that she inhabits is a young woman who is in an abusive marriage. So that's the context of it all. But like the peace and happiness of being with all women, and how when you're with women, your mouth should always be moving. You should always be laughing, but your mouth should never open when you're in a room with men, and they want your tears. That's what they're after. It's just all that stuff was so beautiful and heartbreaking. And one of the things with movies like this, I can't think of a lot of comps like this where like lots of people play the same character. One that came to mind was the Todd Solondz film Palindromes, which is obviously a very different kind of movie, but it's an experiment where very different kinds of actors, you know, like an adult Black woman, a little girl, Jennifer Jason Leigh, are all playing the same 12-year-old girl, basically. And so the challenge is like, do all of these actors inhabit this role in a way that makes it feel cohesive, like it is just one person, even though a lot of different actors are playing them. And I thought at first that maybe that didn't work in this movie, but I think it does, because the first person she inhabits is the Noomi Rapace character. And this is the first life that she's inhabiting after being in a cave for 16 years. So she's learning all about humanity. She's a little bit babyish. Then she becomes a man, and she's a little bit further along, has been a human for longer and around humans for longer. And to me, the change in character, I guess, feels truthful and right, because she's been around people for longer. And so the character's changing and becoming more human and becoming more wise.
Yeah. The first like shot or two of Noomi Rapace, once that kind of is her character, I like audibly gasped, because I was like, oh my God, she's immediately nailing this. This, like, I immediately buy this. This is incredible. Yeah, I find it very, very, very moving. I mean, guess there's the Todd Haynes movie where multiple people play Bob Dylan.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, but I've never seen that. I know that Cate Blanchett is one of the people that plays Bob Dylan, which is insane.
It's great. I also, like, in a way made me think of the Wachowskis and Tom Tykwer's film Cloud Atlas, which is a movie in which that like spans time and like generations to tell different stories that are all interconnected with like the rotating cast. So it's the same cast in different timelines playing different characters, and they're not necessarily playing the same characters are like quote unquote reincarnated over time throughout it, but they're not technically playing the same versions of themselves. The like quote unquote soul is growing. Or like Dead Again with Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson, which does that in a very interesting and striking way.
Or even like Freaky, which is like a very different kind of movie, obviously. But when those characters switch bodies, they just really do feel like the other character, you know?
I love stuff like that. And I really love it from, you know, this kind of like Invisible Man kind of, the book, not the movie, kind of like way of kind of like traversing life as like an outsider. And it very much feels like you're using folklore and witchcraft as a metaphor for that otherness and outsiderness, because she keeps coming to her and keeps being like, they're going to find you out, and when they do, they're going to burn you. He's going to be the first one to throw you on the stake. Like, so there's this constant runner in the background of having to fit in. How do you modulate your behavior to be accepted. And also, like, the most moving one for me is near the end. She becomes a young woman, and then a young girl, and then like grows into a young woman. And the first like few moments of her as a young girl, she's experiencing life in a loving household with like neighbors and siblings, and she's keeps saying, "I didn't know it could be like this." And it's so outrageously moving and powerful. After she's experienced, she's been raped, she has murdered, she has like worked as a like hand in the fields, she has like chopped wood, she's been a day laborer. So like to do all of that and then get to experience the like love and care and joy of that life is so powerful and moving.
It's like she keeps saying like the world is so hurtful and harsh, and yet, and then we get the opposite character, Old Maid Maria, who's only experienced trauma and pain, and her experience, she constantly keeps telling her like this is all gonna go badly for you, and then it kind of doesn't. It does many times, but our main character constantly has that, and I think that might be the last line of the movie. Not to spoil it, it's like there's something that's worth it. There's something that's beautiful and lovely, and that final scene between Old Maid Maria and Navina fucking destroys me. When Old Maid Maria is like crying, and she's like, "How come it was so easy for you?" Like that is so painful. That's so painful and beautiful and true to life, and the feeling that everybody has it easier than you, or like, I don't know. I've felt that so much. And I just think the script is so beautiful. I also forgot who the director was. So I guess watching it last night, because I've never seen any other movies by him. And I just kept thinking it was a woman last night because I'd forgotten. But it makes sense because men's bodies are filmed so beautifully.
Yeah.
And the men are so hot throughout this movie.
There's
and then I was like, oh, right.
Where...
It's like a super hot gay wrote and directed.
Yeah. There's a sequence where she inhabits the body of a dog and is like going around and be able to experience the world, like not from within it, but from like an animal's perspective, where she can like spy on people. And she just watches like a group of like men run out into the like field, like fully naked, and get in the water together, and then like all masturbate together. And she's like, oh, this is what they're up to. And you're like, yeah, this is directed by a gay man.
Yeah, totally.
But that's the other thing.
And then she becomes the hottest man in any village for miles around, I'm sure.
I will say, if you live in a village in like the middle of nowhere, Eastern Europe, Central Asia, you live in a village, and a fully naked woman walks out of the woods and offers to have sex with you, you say no. That is, every fairy tale and folklore has reiterated this to you for a reason.
I know that you're not a gay man, so you won't know this reference, but a lot of gay men listen to this podcast. So it's giving Bel Ami, which is like, Bel Ami is like a classic European gay porn studio that's based in like the Czech Republic, and it's like all hairless little twinks, and it's like that is the vibe here. It's like 100% Bel Ami. It's such a beautiful. I mean, the cinematography is outrageous.
Painfully beautiful. There's so many times where it would cut and it'd just be like a forest with light coming through it, and I would just go. Like there were so many moments like that. It's so outrageous. There's so many like shots where they're just like sitting in a house and they're looking out and like they're above the cloud level, and you're just like, oh my fucking god. Goran Stilevsky is Macedonian but moved to Australia when he was quite young, so of an age. His movie he made, I think this was like funded by the Australian government, but then like made in Macedonian, which I was like, does Numi Rape speak Macedonian? This will be interesting. And then you're like, oh, wait, the character doesn't speak. Yeah. What a trick.
Speaking of that, what did you think of the choice of the voiceover? Because it's done in such a way where it's like purposely done on a hot mic. So it kind of peaks a lot. And I thought that was like such an interesting choice that I liked.
I liked it. It made it sound more like, like whispering in your ear.
Yeah. It sounds like our podcast, which is always too loud.
Oh my God.
Which is fine, you know. We finally get the wives' tale about what happened to Old Maid Maria. What did you think about that segment?
I loved finally being able to get that sequence at the end. And the way it's presented too is so beautiful because it's presented as a like ghost story around a fire, and then it like seamlessly transitions into her story. And god damn is it painful. It's so sad. All like she like works such a hard, simple existence, and all she wants is to be able to like have a connection, have someone love her, and like have someone to love and build a family with. And that is used to con and dupe her into something horrible, heinous. And when she does anything at all to like help herself and survive, she is then once again beaten down by the community around her. So it like the entire movie, she's both been sympathetic and helpful while also kind of serving as this kind of scathing antagonist in the background.
Yeah.
She is a good mother figure while also being an abusive mother figure at the same time. She's far better of a mother figure than the initial mother figure in many respects, but she still carries her own trauma and inflicts it upon this girl through her entire life.
She does horrible things to her, but she also is like, she's gone through all of this shit, right? So on some level, she believes that she's helping.
Yeah, to her, these are loving acts. To like help her grow,
to protect her and help her get through the world. It's interesting. There's like a historical context that I don't frankly understand because I don't know enough about European history, but they keep in the back, the flashback to Old Maid Maria's youth and what happened to her. They keep talking about how the Turks have killed all of the young men in all of the villages so that she never had an opportunity to fall in love and get married and have children, which is why she's called Old Maid Maria. Before leading up to the events of what is done to her, the trick that's played upon her. And I thought that was so interesting. They kept talking about the Turk, like he can't travel in the woods because the Turk is out there. And I also know, I mean, you live in Glendale it's like the largest community of Armenians in the world outside of Armenia. The Turks have done genocide on the Armenians. And so I was like, it made me want to learn more about the history of Macedonia and, you know, the Turks. Seems like the Turks did some fucked up things.
Yeah,
in world
Turkey's
history.
not a great company.
Not to make light of it. I don't mean to make light of it. Of course, it just was.
It's a very complicated history that Turkey has with a lot of the rest of the kind of surrounding region. I worked for a company that was owned by a Turkish family, and I like brought in pastries to work one day. And they were like, "Oh, where'd you get these?" And I was like, "Oh, a little bakery in Glendale." And they were all like, "We can't eat these." And I was like, "Okay,
whoa,
all right then,
whoa,
gotcha."
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anything else to say about this movie before we move on?
I thought this movie was just outrageously beautiful. And I'm like now very, very fascinated to see Of an Age. I've heard
me too.
Really, really good things about it to begin with. But I'm now very keyed up and excited to go into it.
I think he's, based on this, I would say that he's an extraordinary talent. I mean, the writing of this, the direction, everything about this is just, it's a very small movie, a tight movie, but just perfectly executed, I think.
From a writing perspective, yeah, I'm very excited. His last movie came out last year, his most recent, I should say, Housekeeping for Beginners, which his last two have been both very like outwardly queer dramatic narratives. And I would say, even though it is not textually queer, I would say that this movie is outrageously queer in its like story choices and narrative. I don't know.
Very feminist film too. An incredible feminist film.
Very feminist. I mean, the first person she murders is her husband, her rapist. So
yeah,
understandable.
Let's pivot and play our favorite game. Have they seen it? The game where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this movie. I compared it earlier to The Witch. Do you think Robert Eggers saw this? I mean, The Witch came out before this did, but Do you think he would have seen this?
Especially knowing that the most recent Robert Eggers film, The Northman, and the upcoming Robert Eggers movie, Nosferatu, are also being released by Focus Features. I think he has absolutely seen this, and I'm almost certain that Gorslewski got a very kind email from him following the release of this movie.
Yeah, I think he would really like this movie.
I feel like he would really like this movie, but I also could feel like there's a world in which he'd be watching this movie and be like, "That's not historically accurate. That's not historically accurate."
Well,
like,
he's a New
I don't
Englander.
know.
Let's presume he doesn't know anything about Macedonia.
That wooden table seems like it's from like 1876, but this appears to be 1864.
You might be right about that. What about Terrence Malick? Sorry to keep going. Do you think Terrence Malick has seen this?
No. I think Terrence Malick just rewatches Zoolander all the time. Canonically, Terrence Malick's favorite movie, Zoolander. He once hired Ben Stiller to appear in character at a birthday party.
That's so funny. I love that.
I mean, there's a possibility, but he strikes me more as someone who doesn't watch modern movies and kind of is disconnected from a lot of that world. I mean, he left movie making for like 30 years before he came back or something. 20 some years. I don't know. I feel like if he did see it, he would like it quite a bit. I think it's better than anything he's made in the past 15, 20 years. While doing similar things. But as of this moment right now in the world, I don't think he's seen it. What about you?
I agree entirely.
Yeah. This movie also co-stars Numi Rapace, who most people would know from starring in the European Girl with Dragon Tattoo films, the films that cover the whole series of books rather than the American ones, which is one book and then a completely separate book with a completely different cast and filmmaker. Obviously, that first movie was remade in America by David Fincher with Rooney Mara and Daniel Craig. Do you think Daniel Craig has seen You Won't Be Alone? I tell you right now, Rooney Mara has not. If someone can prove to me that Rooney Mara has, I'll pay you $500, but I doubt it.
You are such a bitch because that was going to be the one that I was going to do, Daniel Craig.
I love him.
I love him too. Benoit Blanc is my favorite detective of any movie or TV show ever. I think yes. Is that crazy? I think he seems chic and sophisticated and a man of the world. I could buy that he'd seen this.
I could buy that he'd seen this too. I think he'd dig it. I honestly let's get him in Gordon Stilevsky's next movie. Let's get that going. He loves to play gay. Let him do it.
Yeah, let him do it. I'm all for him playing gay. I really want the next Knives Out movie. I know it's already in progress and this is not what it's about. Since they revealed that he's gay and married to Hugh Grant, I really want a Knives Out movie where they are on vacation to get away from it all. And Benoit Blanc has to solve a mystery while concealing he's solving a mystery from his husband because they're on vacation and he's supposed to be not working. You know what I mean? Like that's the next Knives Out movie that I want.
Honestly, we need to get to the point where Rian Johnson completes his main trilogy and then is just turn it over to other filmmakers to step in and have a little chance with Daniel Craig, and then he needs to just let you write that.
Yeah, it's giving To Catch a Thief or Glass Bottom Boat or these 60s vacation European movies.
I mean, Rian Johnson loves Last of Sheila, which is also exactly that.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's a smart idea, and I think he should abandon his current one, fire the cast, start over, and bring you on as a co-writer. But that's just me. Maybe you should stop making fun of his wife's pronunciation, and he'll give you a call.
Better help. Fatty Arbuckle put on his purple mittens. I do love her show. I do love her. She just needs to lighten up on her teas. They're very splashy. Deeply
love Karina Longworth. Deeply love You Must Remember This. Big supporters, big fans.
Okay, wait.
Deeply dislike Fatty Arbuckle.
Fatty Arbuckle.
He was a rapist.
He sucked. Yeah. Wait, fuck, I had to think of somebody. This is okay. This is crazy. You're not going to know who this person is, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Shoot your shot.
This is like so an aggressively anti-Drusilla pick of a person. So recently, to talk about politics for a moment.
Oh no.
Joe Biden has dropped out of the election, and now Kamala Harris is our nominee for the Democratic Party, presumptive nominee, I guess I should say. And I have been addicted to the news, which I normally am not. And I listened to this podcast. It's very famous. It's called Pod Save America, which is like, pretty centrist, normcore, liberal podcast. I'm much further to the left of this podcast, but I've been listening to it because it's just, I am addicted to political content now. One of the hosts is Ronan Farrow's ex-boyfriend and political commentator / comedian, John Lovett. Do you think that John Lovett has seen what movie are we talking about? You Won't Be Alone. With Ronan Farrow, his ex-boyfriend. They were dating at the time, Ronan Farrow. Very sophisticated. Mia Farrow's
Googling.
I know that you would not know who this person is. I barely know.
Womp womp. Broke up with Ronan Farrow. 11 years together. He's friends with former White House staffers.
He worked on the Obama campaign, I believe. I think that's how these Pod Save America, John, they're all named John, I think. They all worked for Obama in the 2000s. So they're like very normcore, centrist.
One of them is named Jon Favreau, but not that Jon Favreau.
Not that Jon Favreau.
Frustrating. Yeah. That's frustrating. I'm going to say that Ronan Farrow has seen this, but this man has not.
I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
I feel so embarrassed now. I feel like it's so dorky for me to be talking about Pod Save America, which is like everyone who listens to our podcast, including me, is like way further to the left of this podcast. But I'm just like hooked I'm hooked on political content right now because I'm so anxious.
I'm also very anxious about it. I'm still off of Twitter. I am off of most social medias for my own mental well-being outside of that, and that's just like reaffirming my desire to be out of that. So like every day around lunch, I'll have lunch with my girlfriend, and she'll like fill me in on what's going on, and she'll be like, the head of the Secret Service stepped down and here's why, and I'm like, ooh, okay, like gossipy popcorn. I can take it like that, because otherwise I'm going to become a doomer and have a brain aneurysm.
Did you hear about how JD Vance talked about in his memoir about fucking sofas when he was a teenager? He would masturbate by
that's hilarious.
He sucks so bad. That's like the least objectionable thing about him is that he fucked a sofa as a teenager.
I do love that this is now bringing the comeuppance upon Ron Howard for even making a movie based on his book. People are finally being like, wait a minute, Ron Howard might suck. And it's like,
yeah.
Yes.
Listen, as a Kentuckian, the people of Appalachia reject him. That book is really harmful and mean-spirited towards Appalachians. As they say, he ain't from here. You know, like they don't claim he's actually not. He's from Ohio. He's categorically not Appalachian, so he sucks. Anyway, this is not Pod Save America. We should do one more.
Let me ponder this. Okay. Got it. So here, if that was a very anti-Drusilla pick, here's a supremo Drusilla pick. And it's a long way for a short thing. So because we're talking about Longlegs and we're talking about movies that had to deal with the concept of whether or not killer imagery that deals with gender is transphobic or not, and all of these many things, and the icky sticky spectrum of all of that. This is a filmmaker of one of those movies who has also worked with Noomi Rapace. He directed Noomi Rapace and the criminally underrated 2012 thriller Passion, which I highly recommend. That would be none other than the modern king of suspense and horror, Brian De Palma. Do you think that Brian De Palma has seen You Won't Be Alone?
Feels like a very un-Brian De Palma-ish movie, don't you think? which doesn't mean he hasn't seen it, because we all watch a lot of movies that aren't necessarily our cup of tea. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
First of all, how many movies do you think Brian De Palma sees? Because it could go either way. Some filmmakers, like David Lynch, famously barely watches movies at all, and then some just watch every single movie that
Like
comes
Scorsese,
out in the entire world.
We'll see everything. It's hard to tell with De Palma, and I know like age plays a certain factor with that. I know that like for a great deal of his life, he was like consuming everything. I know in the 90s, he was also like watching he was going to film festivals and seeing as many like emerging talent as possible. He was like a very, very early fan of Tarantino before Tarantino popped off and blew up. So it could go either way. I do think that this is the kind of title that would appeal to him in terms of genre and in terms of the way it's playing with the genre. However, I don't know whether or not stylistically he would jive with it or not. I don't know if he would like get hooked in and be like mesmerized and moved by it, or if he would just be like watching it from a technical level and like just noting it to death.
I kind of feel like, so I was, before you said that, leaning towards, I don't think he's seen it, but I think he would like it. And here's why. There's different kinds of filmmakers. So one is like, and this might not be true, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one is like the Tarantino sort of filmmaker who likes a specific thing, right? There's like a realm of aesthetic and time period and genre kind of stuff that this person likes. And then there's another kind of filmmaker like John Waters who like Tarantino, makes a very specific kind of film, but actually enjoys a huge broad swath of different kinds of things. And I could believe that Brian De Palma is more like John Waters in that despite him making a kind of movie, he watches a ton of different kinds of movies.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah. But I don't think he's seen this, but I do think he would like it.
I think he would like it a lot. There's so many movies that I would love to recommend to Brian De Palma.
We should do a podcast where we just make recommendations to Brian De Palma. I bet between our connections we could get to him and just like have 100 episodes ready of like recommendations for Brian De Palma.
Every single episode it's you and I being like, okay, Brian De Palma, what did you think of Booksmart? And he'd be like, ugh. And you're like, wasn't it so fun, Brian De Palma? And he'd be like,
Brian De Palma, we think you would love Little Darlings, 1980, and here's why.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Josh and
that
Drew
he probably saw.
sit down with Brian De Palma to talk about like Knife Plus Heart.
Yeah, he would love that.
He would love that. Like,
that's right up his alley. Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of Bloodhaus. Please rate it wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on X or Instagram at Bloodhaus Pod. Drusilla, where are you these days?
You can find me and my art over at sisterhidedesign.com. You can go pick up a copy of the Book of Elsewhere, written by Keanu Reeves and China Mielville, with my cover art on the cover. In America and Canada, it's a different cover in the UK, but only slightly. Boom. It's still my branding and type and colors. From your local bookseller, I highly recommend going to your local bookstore. They will have it. Go to a Barnes and Noble, they will have it. If you can avoid buying it from the Bezos machine, kudos to you. You can also follow my new podcast, De Palma Watch. It'll be coming out soon. Josh, I believe you're on that as well.
Yeah.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Hyde Sister, or look for Sister Hyde on Letterboxd, or Drusilla Adeline over there. And you can see why I deeply hated Dirty Harry.
Oh, it's not surprising to me.
It's not surprising. It could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And yet it's still not a surprise. What about you, Josh? How can people turn into you for a day?
I am at Joshua Conkel on Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and Instagram. So what are we watching next week? We're staying in the folk horror realm, I understand, for a movie I have not seen.
And for a movie I've not seen either, but we are staying in Europe. We are going to France. We are going to dig up the bones of some French folk horror. We are going into the 1980s, which is kind of like an underserved era for folk horror. Kind of petered off in the 70s and then had like a late 90s, early 2000s revival, it seems. And of course now is like a big hot period. but we will be watching from French auteur Jean-Pierre Mocky, Litan, La Cité des Secrets Verts, the city of green specters or green ghosts.
That's
Litan.
An incredible title. And that listener, that title is Litan. And you can rent it on Amazon, or I think it's on YouTube for free too. So yeah, can't wait. Bye.